Today, we're diving into a powerful market comparison between the internet revolution of the 1990s and the current AI boom of the 2020s. In particular, we'll explore a striking parallel between Netscape's launch in 1994 and ChatGPT's debut in 2022, and how each catalyzed massive movements in the Nasdaq Composite Index. Let's begin. Investors have noticed a remarkable resemblance in how the Nasdaq has reacted after the release of ChatGPT, compared to how it behaved after Netscape's launch 3 decades earlier. These moments, Netscape in 1994 and ChatGPT in 2022, were both turning points. They each represented a technological breakthrough that captured the public's imagination and ignited major investment enthusiasm. The core question is, what can the past teach us about where we might be heading now? Let's go back to the beginning of the internet revolution. In 1994, Netscape Communications launched the Mosaic Netscape web browser. For the first time, the World Wide Web became truly accessible to the general public. Then, in August 1995, Netscape held one of the most highly anticipated initial public offerings in history. The IPO wasn't just a financial event, it was the spark that marked the dawn of the commercial internet era. Valuations of tech companies soared, even when they weren't profitable. And this new digital economy gave rise to names like Amazon, eBay, and later, Google. Following Netscape's IPO, the Nasdaq Composite entered a period of explosive growth. Let's look at the numbers. In August 1995, around the time of the Netscape IPO, the Nasdaq stood near 1,000 points. By March 2000, at the peak of the dot-com bubble, it reached 5,048 points. That's a 400 to 500% increase in just over 4.5 years. Investor enthusiasm turned into speculation. Market participants were chasing the next big thing, often with little concern for fundamentals. This period came to be known as one of the greatest speculative booms in stock market history. But what goes up can come down fast. In early 2000, the dot-com bubble burst. From its peak in March 2000 to its trough in October 2002, the Nasdaq fell by approximately 77%. Trillions of dollars in market value were wiped out. Countless internet companies went bankrupt. It was a hard lesson in how quickly sentiment can change and how devastating the effects can be when expectations are not met. Now let's jump ahead to the AI revolution. In November 2022, OpenAI launched ChatGPT, a conversational artificial intelligence powered by generative models. This marked the beginning of widespread public awareness of generative AI. For many, it was the first time they had interacted with a machine that could write essays, answer questions, and generate code. It was a new Netscape moment. ChatGPT showcased the vast potential of artificial intelligence in an accessible, usable form. And once again, investors took notice. The technology promises to transform industries across the board, from healthcare and education to entertainment, finance, and software development. The market reacted. Let's examine how the Nasdaq Composite responded after ChatGPT's release. In November 2022, the index stood between 10,500 and 11,000 points. By June 2025, it had climbed to around 19,662 points. That's an increase of over 80% in less than 3 years. Much of this growth has been fueled by investor enthusiasm for AI and large tech companies investing heavily in the field. We are witnessing a market rally that mirrors the one sparked by the internet revolution nearly 30 years ago. Just look at the chart. The patterns are nearly identical, a rapid market ascent after a major technology launch. In both eras, the Nasdaq responded dramatically to breakthrough innovations. This isn't just a coincidence, it may reflect how markets digest paradigm-shifting technologies. In the late 1990s, the internet boom drove the Nasdaq from 1,000 points to over 5,000 in under 5 years. In the 2020s, the AI boom has pushed the Nasdaq from around 11,000 to nearly 20,000 in just under 3 years. The pattern of rapid ascent following a major tech catalyst is striking. Market history doesn't always repeat, but sometimes it rhymes. So what happens next? If we use the dot-com era as a guide, we can imagine a few possible outcomes. Let's do some illustrative math. If the Nasdaq gains 400% from its November 2022 level of 11,000 points, it would reach 55,000 points. That's 11,000 multiplied by 5. If it gains 500%, it would reach 66,000 points, 11,000 multiplied by 6. These are not predictions. They are simple calculations based on historical analogies. Real outcomes will depend on countless variables: economic, political, and technological. But history gives us a useful reference point. Now, let's pause to consider the key differences between then and now. First, the Nasdaq started its AI rally from a much higher level than it did in the 1990s. Back then, the index was at 1,000 points. In 2022, it was over 10,000. Second, today's leading tech companies are well established and profitable. In the dot-com era, many internet companies were startups with no earnings. Third, today's interest rate environment is far less accommodative. In the late 1990s, interest rates were relatively stable. In 2025, central banks are battling inflation, and rates are higher. Fourth, there is greater regulatory scrutiny now. Governments and policymakers are more alert to the risks of speculative bubbles. Finally, the global context is very different. Geopolitical tensions, supply chain shifts, and demographic changes all shape today's investment climate in ways that differ from the 1990s. In short, the surface pattern may look familiar, but the underlying conditions are quite different. So what should investors take away from all this? History offers perspective, not prediction. The Netscape era analogy helps us understand how markets often react to disruptive innovation. It shows us how hype, imagination, and genuine promise can combine to fuel dramatic rallies. But it also reminds us of the risks of valuations outpacing fundamentals, and of expectations growing faster than reality can deliver. The future of AI is still being written. It holds enormous potential. But for investors, the key will be to focus on sustainable business models, clear paths to profitability, and realistic valuations. The past teaches us that enthusiasm can be justified, but only when it's backed by long-term fundamentals. As we navigate the AI era, let's stay informed, stay thoughtful, and stay focused on what truly matters. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Where do you think the AI revolution is headed? Will it mirror the dot-com era, or forge a path of its own? Do you think the AI boom will end in a crash like the dot-com bubble, or will it reshape our world more sustainably? Until next time, stay informed, stay curious.